Hello, I'm Jamie and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be ranking the ghosts from BBC's Ghosts onto a scale of how much I would enjoy being haunted by them. So this is a video that I've wanted to do for a while, but I was always kind of just thinking of doing it like from my favourite ghost to my least favourite ghost. And then I kind of realised that even though like I might not get on with them very well, as a character I really enjoy them. So they were all kind of bunched up in like four and like the top two. So I thought the best way to do it was to think about it realistically. Who would I rather have haunt me? Because some of them, even though I get along with them quite well, that I wouldn't really want them to haunt me. Okay, so for kind of what I'm going to consider about them, I'm going to kind of look at how well I think I would get on with them, kind of anything that might be a benefit of having them in the house and kind of anything that might be really annoying to have. So the top category is we would get on at like a haunted house on fire. Like we'd be best mates. We would be chatting all the time. We wouldn't really have too many arguments. We can also have like, we're good at having our own space, and yeah, that's kind of the top category. The second one is we're pretty good friends. So again, we'd get on quite well with minimal arguments. However, spending time together would probably be a bit less than the top category. And, you know, we might have a few disagreements, that sort of stuff. The third one is decent housemates. So we would just kind of be your typical housemates. Like if you're in uni, you're just kind of chucked into a house with a bunch of people you don't know. And I feel like we'd get on well. We'd respect each other's space, but we'd kind of, you know, we would have some fun times, but we might have a few arguments and stuff like that. The fourth category is we'd tolerate each other, so we might have quite a few arguments or we might not like each other, but it won't be too bad. We won't really want to move out. We'd just kind of put up with each other. And the last category is absolute hell. It would be the worst thing living with these people. Yeah, so let's get into it. The first one. So first of all is Thomas. And as a character, I do really like Thomas. I really do like the Regency period, so it'd be interesting to learn a bit more about that from like a first-hand perspective. As an English literature student, I obviously do like literature, and I'm not a massive fan of poetry, but like, you know, if it's good poetry, I do like it. However, I'm not really sure whether I would like to have him recite like 4-hour poems to me, and he does kind of get very over-enthusiastic about his poetry, and I feel like if I didn't like it, then he would kind of get really upset. However, the like idea about somebody maybe writing poems for me or that kind of stuff is quite appealing, but overall, so that's kind of like an advantage and a disadvantage. The main disadvantage about Thomas is that he can be quite overbearing. He doesn't really respect boundaries, especially in regards to how he treats Alison. I've kind of gone over this in one video, but if he wasn't played by Mathew Baynton, then I do think he would be kind of considered a bit creepier than he is, because like he doesn't respect her boundaries at all. That would really get on my nerves. However, he is learning, so maybe like hopefully would change. But I do think we would get on quite well. So for that reason, I'm going to put him in, I think we'd be pretty good friends. Like I said, the only real thing about Thomas is that his boundaries are not quite right. He doesn't really respect anything like that. So that's the reason why he's not in the top category. Next up is Pat. And Pat for me is just like a bundle of joy. He is just one of the most caring and lovely people in the show, I think, definitely. He's also a massive fan of movies and TV, and obviously I am as well. So I reckon we would have fun watching a lot of TV shows together. We both kind of really get into our heads when we like a TV programme, like him with Top Gun or Friends. Like once it's in our heads for a while, if you know what I mean. So I think we'd be great on that aspect. Also, I have a feeling he would really like my favourite show, which is Parks and Recreation. I think he would really like the character of Ron. There is a lot of like, kind of like woodworky and adventure nature with the character of Ron, and I think he'd really like that. So I have a feeling we would really, really, really enjoy the same TV shows. In addition to this, I do think that he could teach me some really interesting skills being a scout leader. I was in like brownies and guides, so I know a little bit about that kind of stuff, and learning more about that would be quite useful, I guess. Also, even though he is kind of needy with like, if he wants to schedule something for a particular time, he wants it to be at that time. Even though he's a bit needy, I feel like I can kind of cope with that, and he is very respectful, so I feel like if I asked him, you know, can you just give me a bit of space for a bit, I think he would, without making too much of a fuss about it. So for those reasons, I'm going to put him in the top category, which is that we would get on like a haunted house on fire. Next up is Fanny, and even though I'm a massive fan of her character, I think the character is wonderful and it's just so brilliant. I don't think we'd get on at all. She's very strict, obviously, and I feel like she would constantly criticise me and stuff like that. She's not the most tolerant person, really, is she? My etiquette isn't great. I have quite bad posture, so I feel like she would keep picking up on that. I don't speak eloquently enough, I don't think, for her liking, so I feel like she'd just be nitpicking me all the time. She does always seem to put Alison in the most awkward situations when people visit the house. She's the one that's like telling them to get off the lawn and, you know, telling her, like, she wants everything to be right, and that makes Alison kind of slip up and stuff like that. So I think that would kind of really get on my nerves if someone else came into the house. However, she could, in a way, teach me, like, you know, influence my posture to be better and stuff like that. But overall, I think I'm going to put her in the bottom category. I think it would be hell living with Fanny. I think, even though, again, like I said, I really like her character, as a character, she's brilliant, but would I want to live with her? No, I wouldn't. So next up is Julian, and me and Julian have very, very different political opinions, as I think most people who watch the show do. Which may be an issue. However, he's definitely the least needy, and you can just kind of, you know, let him do whatever he wants, really. You could literally just give him a room with like a bunch of things that only require like one button to press. So we could have like a radio, like a TV, and, you know, like a phone with a game on that he likes, and he could just occupy himself for the most part, so that would be quite good. It would be kind of a bit more of a roommate situation, I think, with that, because he does kind of go off to the side and, you know. But otherwise, apart from that, he is kind of nice. Political opinions aside, he's a very nice character, he's a very nice person. But there is that kind of possibility that he may kind of overstep boundaries in regards to certain aspects of life. I feel like he would be a bit nosy when it comes to relationships and stuff like that. Kind of giving unwanted opinions. So I initially was going to put him in 2, but I think I'm going to put him in 3 because I feel like we would be more housemates than friends. We could get on quite well when needed, but, you know, we're perfectly fine apart. Next up is Kitty, and Kitty's a very awkward one for me because I really like Kitty. I think she's like a wonderful character. However, she does require a lot of attention and she is very needy. And however, she does get distracted quite easily, so I feel like I could give her something that would distract her for a while. And I feel like we would like some of the same shows. For example, Bridgerton, I think she would fit into the Bridgerton world, like, seamlessly. Like, I think, if anyone else agrees with me on that, like, she doesn't really know anything about sex and relationships. She is kind of childlike, but also wanting to be in society. I feel like she'd fit into Bridgerton's world, like, absolutely brilliantly. So I feel like there are some things that we'd get on with quite well and we would kind of connect on a lot of things. However, the difficulty with Kitty is that she wants your attention like 100% of the time, and I would feel so bad doing things that Alison does, you know, kind of, oh yeah, we'll have a sleepover in 5 months, and kind of, she's someone that like Alison leads on quite a lot in regards to like being friends. And I feel like with Kitty, you either have to be her best friend or kind of like nothing at all. So it is quite a difficult one. I'm going to put her in the middle just because in kind of small bouts, I think we would get on quite well, but living with her constantly would be quite bad. So I think the best way to do it is to kind of even it out and put her straight in the middle. Yeah, I'd be like constantly afraid of upsetting her or accidentally ignoring her and kind of making her really, really upset. So, yeah. So next up is the captain. And so the main thing about the captain is he really likes to stick to his routine, and I feel like he would be kind of easy to live with if you stick to the routine. So I could be able to like schedule my day around him, like, you know, in the morning, time his run, then later on, I don't know, watch some war shows with him and stuff like that. However, I feel like he would be quite mad or upset or annoyed or something if I don't stick to promise of one day maybe I sleep in late, like Alison did with the last night, what happened last night kind of episode. And I do tend to do that quite often. I'm not the most reliable when it comes to schedules. So I think we would kind of run into some issues with that kind of stuff. Like I might be late to something. Like I'm not the worst, but I'm not like 100% reliable as the captain would like. Some things I think would work as an advantage. Like he could, you know, perhaps influence me to get into a really good routine. We could work out together. He could train me, do some army things. I feel like we could get on quite well. Yeah, we could do some army training things, you know, get fitness up, stuff like that. However, I'm not that interested in the army or wars. I do really like history. I did it at A-level, so we could talk about some things, but I feel like I would get quite bored of watching war documentaries and stuff like that all the time, because that's like his only thing is liking it. Yeah, like I do like documentaries, so occasionally it'd be quite good. He does seem to be kind of moving away from that-ish a little bit. Like he does like Friends, so I'm a fan of sitcoms, so maybe I could introduce him to some more. I feel like we would get on quite well, so I'm going to put him in pretty good friends. We'd get on, but there would be a few issues, is my kind of reasoning for that one. So next up is Mary, and again, Mary is one of my favourite characters in the show. I think she's absolutely brilliant, and she does seem genuinely lovely and like a delight to be around. However, I do find her like absolutely hilarious, but I feel like I'd be constantly scared of like triggering her like PTSD almost, like, oh, if I burn some toast or if I have a candle out, I feel like stuff like that might get her a bit scared, and I'd be like worried about doing that. However, I do think I could sit and chat with her for a while about just random things. You know, she can talk about weaving a basket for ages, which will be funny, but it might get a bit boring. I don't really have much in common with her, I don't think. However, she does seem to be somebody that's willing to learn. Again, she seems like somebody who can kind of occupy herself. She does just kind of wander around, see what's going on, which if there was other people in the house, then that would work really well. But if it's just me, then I feel like we could run into some issues, whereas she's kind of bored and not really know what to do and I'm busy, for example. Also, I don't think she'd bring a particular skill to the house or like a benefit. Like she can cook, but she can't really touch anything. But like again, in the same regard, I don't think she'd bring anything bad. So for that reason, I'm going to put her in decent housemates. Like we'd get on, we can leave each other alone. You know, we're good. We won't really get into many arguments, but we're not really going to be like hanging out all the time. So next up is Robin, and Robin is a very interesting character. I'm saying that for everybody. All of them are really good characters. But as he is the oldest, he has lived through all of history, up to, you know, not all of it, but he's lived through the most history. So it'd be really interesting to like pick his mind and talk about all these different eras, all these different things he's seen. So it'd be really, really interesting to explore that. And he is also quite easy to distract with things like YouTube, conspiracy theories, and chess. And I feel like that would be kind of good if I maybe just wanted him to go and do his own thing for a while. Yeah, I'm not a massive fan of chess. I have played it a few times, but it'd be kind of interesting to have him like teach me chess. We could play a few games together. And again, with kind of TV shows, I think he might like The Queen's Gambit, which I absolutely loved. So we could watch that together. And I watch a lot of YouTube, so he could very happily join me with watching YouTube. So it's really annoying because I really want to put him in the top one because of those reasons. However, he is so mischievous and so kind of wanting to cause trouble and annoy people, like jumping out all the time or flickering with lights, that I feel like he would kind of like really get on my nerves with that sort of thing. So I'm really stuck between Robin, whether to put him in the first one or the second one. Because as I said, like, he is the most intelligent one out of them. He's kind of like, you know, in some aspects he's kind of almost like a pet, but like really intelligent and stuff like that. I feel like I could kind of appease him in a way and kind of get him to stop messing around with things like flickering with the lights. Oh, I don't know. This one's most difficult. I'll put him in 2 because I do think he would annoy me in some parts, but he could very easily go up to 1, and that is probably the most difficult one I've had to decide, because I do really like him, but I'm really bad at being like jump scared. Like, I can't watch horror movies because of it. I like people jumping out at me just terrifies me. So I feel like for that reason he's going down to 2 to pretty good friends. But that's fair enough. I would be fine living with him, to be honest. But so next up with the kind of the main ghosts is Humphry. Again, he's not really like the main ghost, but Humphry, I think, is quite easily entertained. He's happy to just be included in some things. So I feel like we could get a really good balance of kind of like, you know, we'll spend some time together, but like we're quite happy to be alone as well. He does seem like a genuinely nice person. He is very intelligent. He's very kind of logical and like wise in terms of like just life in general, which I think would be very helpful in the house. He is also quite drama free. He's just chill. He'll just let people do what they want, and he's just happy just lying there. And I feel like we could kind of work with each other and kind of make sure that he's not like too far away from his body, because having a body just walking around all the time would be quite annoying. And just having him kind of like, I'd feel sorry if his head was like lying down and I couldn't like touch it and pick it up, because I don't think, no, Alison can't touch the ghosts, so that might be an issue, but I think it is a very minor issue. He was also reading that book about Charles I, and again, I quite like history, and it seems like he's he's just intelligent, so I feel like we could have some really good conversations. Again, he's quite just like chill, and I feel like we'd get on really, really well, so I'm going to put him in the top one, so we would get on like a haunted house on fire. Okay, so on to the like minor characters, the minor ghosts. So I'm going to group them all together and just say the plague ghosts. So the plague ghosts do just keep to themselves in the basement, which is good because it would kind of feel like I'm not really living with them, but then if I go down into the basement, I feel like I'd be just too scared. Like, especially because there's just loads of them, and they are kind of gross. And like really scary. Like, imagine just walking down into a dark basement and seeing all of them. Like, they do seem like genuinely nice people, but if they were just roaming around the house, I don't think I would get on with them too well. They do hold grudges with each other, so I feel like if I did do something to annoy them, then they would hate me for the whole time that I'm there, if that makes sense. You know, they kept a grudge for like 100 years or something, so I feel like that might be an issue. So I'm going to put them in that we would tolerate each other, because yeah, I feel like I'd be a bit scared by them, and I would be so afraid of doing something that would make them kind of mad at me. Yeah, and they're just happy being themselves, you know? If I just pop down occasionally and say hi, I think that would be fine, but I wouldn't really want to be with them all the time. They do seem like nice people. However, the characters are already developed so that we find out what they're interested in. So I don't know what we'd have in common. Like, we could be completely different people. So I'm going to put them in tolerate each other, like I said. I feel like that's the best compromise, because I don't think it'd be like absolute hell living with them, because like I said, you couldn't just kind of keep them in the basement. So next up is the plague girl, which is, I think her name's Jemima. And yeah, she's scary, isn't she? I feel like I would just be wandering around, she'd creep up and like start singing her creepy tune. Like, even the ghosts are afraid of her, so she's gonna go in absolute hell. She's creepy. She's just too creepy for me. She's more of a typical ghost than any of the others, so that's why she's going there. And last but not least is Annie, who we've only had one episode with her in, but judging from her costume, she seems very Puritan, and Puritans aren't the most tolerant people, and she did seem very judgmental of Thomas. Yeah, she's kind of like, seems like a more judgmental version of Mary, and I feel like we would kind of not get on great. I feel like she is like a Puritan version of Fanny, if that makes sense. That's kind of what character I see her as. So I'm going to put her in the bottom one as well, because she is creepy, and I feel like she would be quite judgmental and stuff like that. Like, yeah, and kind of superstitious, similar to Mary. I didn't mention that before, but Mary is very superstitious, and I'd be afraid of doing something that would freak her out. And I feel like she'd be the same. Like, Puritans are kind of like that, and I'm not religious, so having a very, very religious person in the house, I feel like would just get on my nerves. Like, especially as intolerant as Puritans were. She's a very extreme religion, and I don't think we'd get on, like, at all. So, yeah, that is the tier list. I'll put it on the screen for you to have a look at if you want. And just to say, like, this isn't kind of like a judge of their characters. If you enjoy one of the characters I've put at the bottom, then that's not to say they're a bad character. And also, this is based on how well I would get on with them and not necessarily how well you would get on. So if there's any disagreements about this, that's fine. And if you want to, I can link the template below and you can create your own one. And you can tweet at me or show me on Instagram. My Instagram is at JamieDoesTV, and my Twitter is JamieWilson X1X, I think. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, then please give it a like. It's really appreciated. And as I said, comment down below whether you agree with this. Who would you put as kind of like the people you would really, really get on with, and who you necessarily wouldn't. So yeah, if you want to see more videos to do with Ghosts and Taskmaster and other TV shows, then please subscribe, because there'll be a lot more videos coming out soon. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Bye!